Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. Usually on the channel we talk all that's good in skincare, from the very best serums to the most innovative formulations, and the skincare brands doing next level things for us, the skincare consumer. However, today it's time to put away those wallets because there's nothing you're going to want to invest in today's video, because we're looking at those brands that did us dirty and thankfully in 2025 are paying the price for their shady goings on. I thought we'd do a little bit of a deep dive into some of the less glamorous aspects of skincare in 2025 and how certain brands are finding that if they play that shady card, sometimes there are consequences to be had. Sit back, relax, let's talk the skincare brands that did us dirty. Now, in today's video, I've got 4 examples of skincare brands that kind of cancelled themselves. Through their own actions, people have decided that they're not the brand for them. Their sales are falling, and in some cases, I think it's going to be pretty hard for them to come back from this. It's actually quite hard for me to feel sorry for any of these brands because it was all their own making and their own doing. But I do want to hear your own hot take on this. What do you think to the 4 brands that are mentioned? Sound off in the comment section below. Are any of them the sort of brands that you think, yeah, I can look past this, I'm still going to shop with them? Or are there any other brands that you think have been doing shady things behind the scenes that need to be called out? Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Just remember, there is no right or wrong in this. We all have our own approaches. We all have our own values. We all have our own take on things. But I do love to hear from you guys, the skincare community, because you guys mean the world to me. Finally, if you like this style of content where we do a little bit of a deep dive, some undercover work, then make sure to let me know by reaching down and giving the video a big thumbs up and a like. Here on Mad About Skin, I don't do sponsorships and I don't do paid partnerships, so I can speak freely about all of this without worrying about losing any financial backing or the next sponsorship deal, because these brands owe me nothing. And if you appreciate independent skincare content, then, well, you're in the right place. Anyway, without further ado, let's cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So first up, let's talk ultraviolet sunscreens, the brand that kind of inspired this video. I'm pretty sure they didn't want to be the inspiration for this style of video, but there you are, they are. And the whole issue surrounding their lean screen sunscreen. So ultraviolet are a pretty big player in sun protection. They come with a slightly high-end price point, I would say, but in terms of that higher-end sunscreen market, ultraviolet pretty much dominated. That was until about a month ago when it kind of all came crashing down. So for this story, we have to go back a little bit in time. They have their viral lean screen sunscreen, which is a mineral sunscreen that people said they absolutely loved, felt amazing on the skin, and lots of content creators and influencers were busy promoting this particular sunscreen, saying how amazing it was. Well, around 3 or 4 months ago, an independent consumer watchdog organization called Choice did some random testing on certain popular sunscreens, one of which was the lean screen by Ultraviolet. Well, that testing actually showed that this particular sunscreen was offering an SPF of 4. You heard that right, 4. Versus what the brand were claiming, which was 50 plus. Now, that is a huge variance. You know, this isn't, in the rounds, margin of error stuff. This is a huge variance. And this got a lot of people talking, saying, well, there's no way that that product is going on my skin if it's an SPF 4. Well, the brand hit back, and they hit back hard. Instead of doing what they should have done, saying, okay, let's take a little look at what's going on here, do a bit of a deep dive, see if we can get to the bottom of things. They just said, Choice are lying. They're trying to discredit us for headlines. Nothing to see here. This product's perfect. Was pretty much the essence of their reply. They also got a lot of their content creators and influencers that had worked with the brand before to kind of start promoting the product, saying, yeah, I have full faith in this. This is an absolutely fine product. Keep using it. It's all good. Now, there were us in the skincare community, myself included, thinking, why would an independent organisation like Choice want to discredit a brand? There's nothing to gain from this. Why would they want to do this? All smelled a bit fishy. Well, of course, the House of Cards came crashing down a month ago, where there were 6 other independent tests done on this specific sunscreen and confirmed way below SPF 50. Now, with these tests, there was a range of different outcomes. One, I think, was an SPF of 10, an SPF of 16, an SPF in the 20s. But you get what I mean. None of them actually reached the SPF of 50 plus that the brand claimed. And it was clear that the issue was actually the formulation wasn't stable. So it changed. You had no idea what you were putting on the skin. Still, though, the brand couldn't just say, you know what, we got this wrong. Sorry, we got it wrong. here's your money back if you want it, let's move on from this. Instead, they started saying, well, actually, we bought this off the shelf from a third-party supplier. It's not even our own formula. We just stuck our name on it. It's their fault. It's like, it's always someone else's fault. And this got a lot of people's backs up, and rightly so. Ultraviolet, I wouldn't trust any of their products. They say that all their others are fine, it's just this sunscreen. But you kind of said this about this sunscreen 4 months ago. No, absolutely not. Nothing's here. And I do love the fact that all these content creators that were shilling for ultraviolet, saying they still have faith in it, most of them haven't actually said anything. They've just sort of sat back and, oh, never mind. Really, I think we should all do a little bit better. Instead of blindly following brands and believing everything they say, maybe we should have a little bit more critical thinking when it comes to this. I will say props to Natalie O'Neill, who's one of my favourite content creators on TikTok, who did originally say she had no issues with the sunscreen, she was going to keep on using it, then did do a full update saying how disappointed she was and explaining her thought process there. So props to her, one of my favourite content creators. I'm going to link her below. The rest of them, I think they need to do better. Now let's come on to E.L.F. E.L.F. actually one of my favourite skincare brands. I think they have some amazing products and I've loved their products for years. But they found themselves in a little bit of hot water recently, and it's all over a particular ad campaign that they ran. Now E.L.F. have a history of supporting women, empowering women in business, helping young girls access education in certain countries, really driving forward a female-first narrative and supporting women, which I'm all in favour of. I think it's a great, they were a brand that really led from the front. I really admired that, and I think a lot of people bought into them, wanted to support them, not only because they had fantastic products at affordable prices, but also doing right. They were doing the good things, and people really liked their values, their ethos, and everything that came along with it. That was until about 2 months ago when they decided to run an ad campaign which featured a whole cast, but one of the particular characters which was featured was a comedian, I'm using that term loosely, called Matt Rife, who has a bit of a checkered history in terms of certain offensive comments that he's made surrounding women in particular, but a whole host of other people. And quite quickly, people started to say, well, this doesn't align with the whole brand ethos of building people up, tearing people down. He told some very distasteful jokes, which I actually think the main issue was they weren't funny, but the other issue is they were offensive at the same time. It was like a double whammy, and like I say, I wouldn't call him a comedian because he's never made me laugh, but other people might disagree. He then did a non-apology, which kind of just made it even worse, where he said, if you want to read my apology, here's the link. You clicked on the link, and it went to a website that creates headwear for disabled children. No, just no. Just no. It's no. And well, E.L.F. thought, well, this is a great guy that can head up our campaign. Dressed him up as a judge and then did this whole campaign. Well, the backlash was intense, and rightly so, because the marketing execs at E.L.F. must be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've all sat around a table and thought, yeah, there's no wrong with this. This is good. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. The problematic nature of this person was well documented before this. A quick Google search would have told them. And it just baffles me that millions of pounds worth of ad execs sit in a room and not one of them thought, maybe, just maybe, this isn't the person to head up this campaign. Maybe we could get an actual real judge, or we could get somebody that isn't offensive. Revelation. Anyway. It's not looking good for E.L.F. Their sales in the last month have reportedly plummeted. Certain stores have pulled them from shelves, and they've tried to backtrack. They've pulled the ad, which was obviously the bare minimum they could do. They have issued an apology. It's not really, people aren't buying it. I think 2025 is going to be a difficult year for E.L.F. Can they win it back? There will be those people that say one mistake doesn't define a brand for their life. Others will say it was a pretty big mistake. I'm not sure that I really believe anything they say now. It's up to you. Let me know down below what you actually think. Where does this sit with your thoughts on E.L.F? Now, third on this list of brands that kind of brought it on themselves, let's talk Drunk Elephant. Now, most people will have probably seen the headlines that Drunk Elephant's sales in 2025 alone are down 62%. That's pretty terminal. You can't really come back from that. That's not a small sales slide. You know, brands will have their better years. They'll have their worse years. And bearing in mind that within the industry, most people see a 5% slide in sales as pretty catastrophic for an established brand. 62%? something has gone drastically wrong. And people have their theories on all of this. Lots of people point to the kids in Sephora scandal, which hit around 2 years ago, which is where kids as young as 6, 8 were running into Sephora and begging their parents to buy Drunk Elephant products, which were never meant for young skin, particularly some of the higher potency options. And people accused E.L.F. of actually marketing their products to younger children, which is kind of a big no-no. They didn't own up to that. They didn't really change anything. They just sort of let it go and enjoyed the sales while they came in. Well, of course, it went full circle. The kids have lost interest, and now all the grown-ups in the room are like, yeah, not a good brand. So I think that probably accounts for a portion of it. We then had the smoothie thing, which is where they were getting people to create their own concoctions and mixing products all together, mixing it together and slapping it on the skin, which was never a good idea. And anyone that knows anything about formulating and how products work together knows that that's a terrible idea. But they kind of promoted that, which was, again, appealing to younger people, kids, not great. And people kind of got a bit fed up with that. I think that put a lot of people off. And then they hiked their prices and people were like, yeah, I'm really done. I don't need to pay $100 for an exfoliator. I can get just as good one for like $20. So I think it's a combination of all three things, but there is literally zero hype about Drunk Elephant. If I look back to 2 years ago, you couldn't move on TikTok without someone talking about their smoothie recipe or their favorite Drunk Elephant product, their Drunk Elephant collection. Nobody talks about it now, and that is what's terminal for a skincare brand, when literally nobody even acknowledges you exist. There's no really way of coming back from that. The pricing's way out of whack for the quality of the product. I think the way they handled the kids at Sephora scandal was just not great. A little bit of me, I've never been a big fan of the brand, a little bit of me feels sorry for them in the sense of they were the ones that were really called out for marketing to younger kids, rightly so. But there's a whole host of other brands that do that and got away kind of scot-free. Nobody said anything. So I think they were singled out, but they were doing it. So it's quite hard to feel bad for them. I don't think Drunk Elephant can come back from this. The original founder of Drunk Elephant sold it to the Shiseido Group for reportedly $450 million. She banked that, and now Shiseido are taking the losses. So she's fine. She's probably living it up somewhere. She's fine, but the brand, I'm not sure, has a very positive future. And then last but by no means least, a favourite of this skincare channel, Dr Barbara Sturm. Now, throwing this in at the end because this is a brand I've never liked. I've never understood why you'd pay $300 for a hyaluronic acid serum when you can get one from The Ordinary for like $8. Never understood it. The pricing was always like way out of kilter. I never liked the fact that she used the Dr Barbara Sturm. She's a foot doctor. People were not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it was implying dermatologist when she's not. I think that's sort of misleading branding, not great. She didn't need to use the doctor unless she just really wanted to capitalise on that, which clearly she did. She got your feet covered, skin less so. Some of the products were really bad, and then she did a whole lot of scaremongering around certain ingredients and how terrible they were for your skin when they weren't, in order to, encourage people to buy her products. It was all a little bit on the shady side, but the price was the main reason. I also love the fact that Dr Barbara Sturm, when you shot on it, was Dr BS. I think the marketing team probably should have seen that coming, but they didn't. Anyway, Dr BS. They slashed their prices. They have seen a significant and prolonged fall in sales. Again, I think it comes down to the hype has gone when it comes to this brand, and now they've had to really slash their prices. This is a brand that offered a wash bag, a really basic wash bag. You could have got it off Alibaba for like, I don't know, $1, and they were selling it for $50. Just had their name like embossed on it, whatever. Not great. So this is the brand that did that. Now have to slash their prices. They've had to put together some kits to really sell off their products hopefully without people noticing that they're kind of having to sell out to shift volume. And it's all gone a little bit wrong for them. This is one that I don't feel bad for because it was price gouging in the extreme. It was dodgy marketing from day one, and they were quite quick with the old legal expertise, Second, a content creator called them out and said, I don't like this. The cease and desist letters came flying. I actually got 2 cease and desists. I kept those videos up and nothing happened. So clearly they have 0 follow through. There's a lot of sayings I could say for that. They have 0 follow through. I think they're kind of just getting what they deserve. I don't know. Is that shady? What are your thoughts? $300 for a hyaluronic acid serum? Would you? I wouldn't. Anyway, let me know. So that's 4 skincare brands that have kind of done us dirty over the years and are paying the consequences in 2025. E.L.F. haven't really done us dirty as far back as that, but I definitely think have made some poor choices when it comes to marketing, and I struggle to see how they're going to come back from that. You guys might disagree though. What's your take on any of these? As always, here on Mad About Skin, we are a judgment-free zone. If you love any of these brands, sing about them, share them to the world and say what's amazing about them. If you think all of this is storm in a teacup and all these brands will still be around in 10 years time, let me know. We're a community that I like to think love one another, and we can agree to disagree, so I do really want to hear from you. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.